In 2024, the United Kingdom faced a significant demographic challenge, as more than 35,000 migrants successfully crossed the English Channel aboard small boats. In response, the government rapidly placed these arrivals into a network of temporary hotel accommodation spread across the nation. With thousands entering the country without comprehensive background checks or verified histories, a critical vulnerability was introduced into the system. It was, perhaps, inevitable that an individual with dangerous intent would eventually evade scrutiny. The ultimate cost of this systemic oversight was borne by a woman simply executing her daily duties, keeping the residents fed and the premises clean. She was discovered fatally wounded, lying in a pool of her own blood, having been stabbed more than 20 times. This incident took place during the summer of 2024, a period marked by the continuous arrival of thousands of asylum seekers. Amongst them was an undocumented man named Deng Chol Majek, a Sudanese national whose arduous journey across Europe had spanned multiple countries and checkpoints. Majek first traveled through Libya before taking a boat bound for Italy, where he was rescued at sea by the Italian Coast Guard. From Italy, he journeyed north to Germany, initially hoping to settle there, but his application for residency was rejected. By July, driven by the widely held knowledge that the UK was often granting entry to the majority of asylum seekers arriving via small boat, Majek joined the increasing numbers undertaking the dangerous crossing of the Channel. His journey, like thousands of others, culminated on British shores. To accommodate this unprecedented influx, a dramatic yet quiet transformation swept the country. Hundreds of hotels were discreetly repurposed. Their doors were closed to the general public and reopened to serve exclusively as migrant accommodation centres. One such premises was the Park Inn by Radisson in Walsall. This is where Majek was housed. Just over 3 months after his arrival in the United Kingdom, Majek was still being accommodated at the Park Inn. Working inside the hotel was 27-year-old Rian Sky White. She was employed alongside other staff members, responsible for cleaning and serving meals to the residents, an ordinary job that necessitated daily contact with the hotel occupants. On this particular day, Majek's behavior began to cause palpable unease among the female staff. His emotional effect was flat, almost vacant, yet his intense, unbroken stares were profoundly unsettling. While others noticed the shift in his demeanor, his attention appeared singularly fixed on Rhiannon. Earlier that day, a minor incident involving broken biscuits had occurred in the hotel cafeteria. It was truly trivial. Majek, another migrant, and Rian had been briefly involved, but no threats were exchanged, and the situation was immediately dismissed. Rian continued her shift as normal, completely unaware that, in Majek's mind, the incident had not concluded. Somewhere between the cafeteria and the hotel corridors, Majek's thoughts turned sinister. By the end of the day, he had reached a terrifying decision: he wanted Rian dead. Even now, the underlying motivation remains incomprehensible. The dispute over biscuits was insignificant, not a grievance any reasonable person would harbor. The motive for the ensuing murder resided entirely within the dark recesses of Majek's own mind. It was just past 8 p.m. Rian was sitting behind the bar in the hotel cafeteria, nearing the end of her shift. Several occupants moved quietly around her, talking, eating, and simply passing time. Majek was among them. At first glance, he appeared to be doing the same, but his body language suggested otherwise. He was not there for food, he was there solely to watch Rian. Knowing her shift was soon ending, he maintained his focus, keeping her constantly in sight. For a brief second, Rian looked up and met his gaze before quickly looking away. She may have sensed a fleeting strangeness, but strange stares from occupants were sadly common in a job like hers. She continued working, unaware that she was being observed with intense, predatory intent, and unaware that Majek was simply waiting for her shift to conclude. Once food service in the cafeteria ended, concern among the staff began to escalate. Another female employee who had been working alongside Rian went immediately to report Majek's behavior to hotel security. She was not alone in her apprehension. A third female staff member, also on duty, had noticed it too. Majek's presence felt utterly wrong. His movements, his fixed focus, and his silence were alarming. But Majek was not yet finished watching. When Rian moved from the cafeteria toward the hotel reception area, he followed. For a brief moment, she stepped outside with other staff members to smoke. As she turned to re-enter the building, Majek walked straight past her, deliberately knocking shoulders as he exited the premises. Rian paused, confused. She turned to a colleague and said, "What the expletive? He's just knocked me." Less than 10 minutes later, Majek returned. He walked back into the reception area where Rian was now positioned behind the desk. Once again, he lingered and stared. His behavior was now intensely unsettling and increasingly impossible to dismiss. What the staff failed to realize was that this was no longer mere intimidation or coincidence. Majek was testing the boundaries, and the night was far from over. Rian's shift officially ended at 11 p.m. Shortly after clocking out, she left the hotel and began the short walk toward Bescott Stadium train station, barely 4 minutes away. As she walked, she called her longtime friend, Emma Cowie, for a quick chat before heading home. What Rian didn't realize was that she had not left the building unaccompanied. Majek shadowed her into the darkness, maintaining a careful distance so as not to draw attention. As Rian neared the station and stepped onto her intended platform, Majek closed the gap. He waited until the precise moment, then, without warning, he crept up behind her. He suddenly raised a screwdriver and began stabbing her relentlessly. Emma Cowie was still on the phone. She heard Rian scream, a sound of pure, unadulterated terror, before the line abruptly went dead. Panic-stricken, Emma knew instantly that whatever had just occurred was grave. She immediately contacted the police and alerted the hotel. Staff members raced toward the station as emergency services sped to the scene. Moments later, the train Rian had been waiting for pulled into the platform. The driver saw her slumped over, motionless, her body drenched in blood. The worst was confirmed. Rian had been stabbed 23 times. Shockingly, 11 of those wounds penetrated her skull, inflicting catastrophic damage to her brain stem. Meanwhile, Majek fled the station, taking Rian's mobile phone with him. A short distance away, he stopped, scrolled through the device, then casually threw it into a nearby river. He displayed no panic, no remorse, and no hesitation. What followed was chilling. Instead of attempting to hide, Majek celebrated. He walked to a local convenience store and purchased alcohol before returning to the hotel premises as if nothing untoward had happened. In fact, he was in better spirits than he had been all day. Outside the building, phone footage captured him dancing as the blue emergency lights from the surrounding police response units flashed across the nearby streets. Those lights were responding to Rhiannon, but Majek was utterly indifferent. Majek re-entered the hotel, where he was again recorded dancing. Later, as he returned to his own room, he danced one final time, bringing the night to a close. By now, Rhiannon had been rushed to hospital and immediately placed on life support. Police began their investigation instantly. Throughout the night, officers meticulously reviewed CCTV footage from both the hotel and the train station. It quickly became devastatingly clear that the attacker was a migrant resident of the Park Inn Hotel. Majek was identified, and within 6 hours of the vicious attack, police moved in to arrest him. Move. Just leave him there for now. Don't touch anything. What is it? Use the pink phone. Yeah, it's all good. I can't see it again. Yeah. Should be that. Where's the code? It should be on linked items for info. The tall one stand on is he not could be that with his arrest. Suspicion attempted murder. Do not mention one question on court. Do so evidence necessitate investigation. Following Majek's arrest, police seized several items from him, including a hooded jacket, sandals, and metal jewelry, all of which precisely matched the items captured on CCTV footage earlier that night. Forensic testing subsequently revealed Rian's blood on the clothing. Even more damning, her DNA was discovered beneath Majek's fingernails, evidence that linked him directly and irrefutably to the brutal assault. Throughout his arrest, Majek remained largely silent. He offered no explanation, displayed no emotion, and responded only to state his name. That silence continued throughout his subsequent police interview, where he again refused to engage with officers. 3 days later, the outcome everyone had feared became unavoidable. Rihanna never regained consciousness. She was pronounced dead in hospital, surrounded by the stark reality of a life violently cut short. Rian was a mother to a 5-year-old son, a child who now had to be told that his mother was never coming home. When the case reached court, Majek entered a plea of not guilty to murder. He also denied possessing a screwdriver as an offensive weapon, despite the overwhelming evidence laid out before the jury. CCTV footage, forensic findings, and witness testimony painted a clear and deeply disturbing picture of premeditated violence. After just over 2 hours of deliberation, the jury swiftly rejected Majek's defense in its entirety. He was found guilty of murder and of possessing an offensive weapon. Justice, at last, had been served in name. Yet for Rian's family and for her young son, the verdict could never begin to undo the horrific loss that had been inflicted upon them.